Mr. Chair, I have a comment if I could. This is Commissioner Kennedy.
Corey, go ahead. You'll be speaking ahead of Commissioner Duckham. Go ahead.
Thank you. First, I would like to say I did get a chance to read that revised version, and I do appreciate Commissioner Mahoney and Commissioner Williams putting in the portions that I drafted, which is whereas it is the Jackson County Board of Commissioners' intent to condemn all forms of racism as well as discrimination and act within a fair and equitable manner in regard to all citizens of Jackson County when it comes to access of county services and to hiring practices as well as promotions by the County of Jackson. And now therefore be it resolved by the Jackson County Board of Commissioners, the board hereby officially condemns all acts of racism as well as discrimination and formally states that such discrimination is unacceptable in our county as it is a detriment to an inclusive community. I do appreciate that you put my words in there, but I'm going to speak about our conversation, Commissioner Mahoney, and what my issues were. And they weren't necessarily related to race. For me, I've always been a fiscal conservative. Some of the people in public comments tonight actually spoke to it, and they tended to think it was okay. I personally know the situation we are in facing a county after this COVID-19 shutdown and the budget shortfalls we're facing. My main issue, as I told you, was that number one, I would like that board. I had no problem with a community-based board being put forth, but that the commissioners, as well as those community members, do it on a voluntary basis, non-pay for this issue, the same way that I do on the Planning Commission, that is a non-paid board. In addition, which was not in your resolution, but you've stated is you want to follow the Washtenaw plan. And as we know, Washtenaw has hired a department head at a substantial cost and created another department, which I call government growth, government bloat. I feel we could have taken care of these issues, formed a racial equity policy without doing that and saved money in the process. So that's my number one issue with it. The second thing is condemning racism and declaring it a public health crisis. In reality, anyone that's been paying attention to what's going around the country, it's the first step in defunding the police. We've seen other communities do it. And that's not something I'll ever support. I actually got an email from one of the speakers tonight, and they laid it out right in terms of what they want. There's several demands, one of which is the defunding of certain institutions and the reinvestment of these funds to rebuilding the economic infrastructure of minority communities. While I believe that minority communities do need infrastructure growth and do need help, and government might be an avenue to that, as could the private sector, I do not agree with ever defunding the police departments. And I want to make that adamantly clear tonight. Lastly, Commissioner Mahoney, you and I will speak in private about bringing my son up. Don't appreciate it. I raised my son with upstanding values. We don't tolerate racism in my household. And I'm actually pretty understanding of all the issues. I'm conservative, but I listen to liberal programs, and I'm well aware of the meme you were talking about. And I also understand the explanation of defunding the police and how it's not totally that. But I can read code words, and I know what's going on here. And this is the first step to defunding the police, and I will never support that. Thank you.